Ooh, that looks tasty. Welcome, folks. Today, The Hungry Gamer is back with the results of the Hungry Gamer Game of the Year Awards. And for those of you that missed the nominations, you can find a link down in the description. It'll kind of take you can see that, see what's going on. But in a nutshell, the only time that I am totally swayed only by my personal opinion is when I make lists in general, the best 10 whatever. All the other games I review throughout the year, I really try to look at it from a, do these mechanics work? Does this work together? Does it look good? And sometimes I give actually very good reviews to games that they're not really for me, but they're just good games. Because I do try to recognize that I have my own biases. I lean towards kind of medium weight games. I lean towards adventure dungeon crawls, though ironically there are none nominated this year. I'm looking for interesting, fun themes. I'm often looking for kind of color and whimsy and joy. Those are just things that I personally like, so you will often see that in my Game of the Year nominees. In any event, I spent the last 5-6 weeks or so replaying all 5 games that were nominated this year, which as a reminder was, in no particular order, Collab, Explorers of Navoria, Buru, Conquest Princess, and Andromeda's Edge. Some of those games are showing up on other people's lists, some of them are not, and some of them you've never heard of. But I spent the time replaying all of them to try to counterbalance the end of the year bias that is kind of there in public opinion, because games that get released closer to the end of the year are the ones that you have a lot of excitement about because you just got them. Whereas a game that you've had since, I don't know, January, or I think in the case of Buru, I may have gotten that last December. I can't remember exactly, but I do my award year from November to November, has been played a lot and has maybe been put back on the shelf for a little bit and isn't coming out as much as a hot new game that just arrived. So I replay all of them. And this year I made a real special effort to not only replay all of them, but replay all of them in a way I haven't done before or hadn't done extensively. And all of them I played with people who had not played them before. So I got to kind of experience someone else's reaction, how they felt, how they reacted, both good and bad. And while this is something that is only about my own opinion, one of the things that I think is my biggest, perhaps, failing as a gamer is I'm very much affected by other people around the table. Very, very much. And so when people are really, really excited about things, I tend to get really excited. When people aren't having fun, I tend to feel like, oh my gosh, I've done something horrible and now you're miserable. So it affects me a little bit, but again, this is really, truly, at the end of the day, which of these games was the one I thought, you know what? That's the game that stands out to me the most. And this year I'm doing things a little bit differently. Rather than do a kind of a 5 through 1, because that's always felt a little crappy to me, because that's saying, oh hey, one of you, you're last. But no, these are fantastic. So what I'm doing instead this year is I'm going to tell you about the top 2. So I have a runner-up and the winner, and the other 3 I have so many arguments for all of them. And the way I looked at them this year was I broke it down into categories. I broke it down into theme. What's the theme I'm most excited about? What's the replay value like? What is the weight of the game something that's really what I want to keep going back to over and over again? Is the game one that I think is really playable at a convention? Because that to me is a thing. I like to go to a convention and take a game sometimes. And being able to take one of these and say, boom, I can play this with new people, that actually does matter to me a little bit. How unique is the game? When I talk about how unique is a game, I'm talking about both theme and mechanics kind of coming together. When I talk about theme, it's really what theme makes me smile the most. And then of course there's art and production, which are again 2 separate things. So what art do I like the most? And then of course there's also the straight up production of the game. How good of a game is it? Now, I can say that this year, there's pretty much a tie on production. I would give the slight edge to Andromeda's Edge simply because of the amazing deluxe version that there is, and also a really good retail version that doesn't feel like I'm losing much other than some of the metal coins and things like that. So, but all 5 of these games I think are really good productions, just across the board. For what they are, they're different levels of game and complexity. All of them have really good productions. So that's kind of a wash. Slight edge to Andromeda's Edge. Now, I'm not going to go through all the rankings. I've ranked actually all of them. That's actually how I determined which one of these is my winner. But just kind of really quickly going through, I want to point out that every single game topped out in one of these categories. It was number one in one of these categories. I want to make sure I highlight that for all of them because, well, it deserves to be highlighted that all of these games are wonderful, and I love all of them. So I'm going to start with theme. Theme was a close one for me. It was a very close kind of toss-up between Conquest Princess with its fashion meets Voltron meets friendship meets really hard game thrown together and boom, out onto the page, or the table I should say, and Collab, which is you're mad scientists, but you're down on your luck, so you're working in a shared workspace and you're abusing each other's minions. And so it was a toss-up for me on the theme of those two, but leaning a little bit towards Collab, just because I know nothing about fashion, and I feel like I could be a mad scientist if I was smart. Next one, replay value. This one, without question, is Andromeda's Edge. There's so many different ways you can play that game. Without question, just amazingly replayable. Jumping into weight of game. And this is just literally how complex of a game is it. And again, there's 2 of them that kind of, boom, locked in at right around the weight I am always interested in playing. And that's Conquest Princess and Collab. Just really mid-weight games, in my opinion. Then looking at the ones that are convention playable. And really, I think Buru is one of the best convention games I've ever had. It is fast. You can play max player count and almost the same amount of time you can play a 2-player game. It's beautiful. It's attractive on the table, so people are interested in playing it. It's easy to teach and just wonderful, wonderful con game. So that one I'm like, well, that's absolutely Buru. Then we talk just pure art. And for pure art, my personal aesthetics, that's Explorers of Navoria. I love that whimsical and cartoony nature, and so that one took the top there. And as I kind of go across that list, you can hear that each game is topping out in one of the categories, and that's not even counting how many of them, they're not first, but they're second. They're not second, they're third. And so it was a really hard decision for me. And what I'm saying is, I made this list and thought, oh, this is going to make it obvious. It didn't. It was still really hard. But with that said, the top 2 games for me came down to Collab and Conquest Princess. And the real tiebreaker for me of what set those 2 apart went back to the theme. And I just was so struck by the theming of these. And the theme alone in both of these games makes me smile. Happy face. Right? It makes me smile. And so that's what pushed those up, plus a little bit on the second level being the uniqueness kind of the mechanics. Now, that said, there are other games out there, I'm sure, Euro games that have the shared resources that you're sharing between each other. But I'd never seen that before. I'm talking about Collab. And the way you go out there and you have your minions and then everyone can kind of use those minions when their scientist is around. And the way that ties into the theme is fantastic. I love that. And then on the other hand, we have Conquest Princess, which again, I'm sure there's other games that have this shared bag builder that you're doing. But the way that you are building this bag, and you're all building the bag together, you're putting things in, but as you're taking stuff out, it stays on the board until someone brings it back. So not only do you have this shared bag, but there's a little bit of this kind of counting that you're doing as you're doing a lot of Euro games. Well, okay, all these things are out, so I know that bag's looking pretty bad. But then when you combine that with the ability to then hold on to the bad things you've missed, so you know, I'm going to have one less action next turn. I'm going to keep this thing. I'm going to power myself up a little bit, but that's going to make the bag better for everybody, which ties right back into that theme and, the fashion and friendship and working together and making each other stronger. It just really, really works. So how do I pick the last one? So at the end of the day, I actually had to go back and play both of these games again. The video was actually delayed for me by a week because I had to go back and play more Collab, and I had to go back and play more Conquest Princess. And still, they came out really, really close, and I was really struggling to separate these two, and I was very, very close to doing a second year of having a shared title. But at the end of the day, I found one sliver of differentiation between the two, and that was, which game to me have I never seen anything like? Which is the most unique to me? And so because of that, my Game of the Year winner for 2024 is Conquest Princess, the batshit, fever dream, insane game that is way harder than you would expect it to be because of the cartoon art and friendship and fashion and we will destroy you. It's wonderful. I love it. It's great. And that means my runner-up is Collab. And of course, we also have Andromeda's Edge, Buru, and Explorers of Devoria. All fantastic games. But congratulations, Conquest Princess, on being the Game of the Year 2024. You are now the recipient of this amazing seal right there. And at some point, you have a trophy on your way. But there you have it, folks. Please leave down in the comments what your Game of the Year is. And if you want to tell me I'm wrong, please go right ahead and tell me I'm wrong. But if you're going to tell me I'm wrong, tell me what it is about the game that you would pick that you love that makes it a more worthy winner than what I think. Because I don't think I'm wrong, but I want to know why you think I'm wrong and why you love these other games. So there you have, folks, another really good year of gaming. I'm really excited for what's coming next year. I already have some games in that are December arrivals that I'm thinking, oh man, these might be like Buru and gonna make it into my Game of the Year in 12 months from now. There's some good stuff already coming in. But there you have it, folks. As always, if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, share, and maybe become a channel member. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.